I'm with Natalie Levy Sopinsky from Rescuers Without Borders. First of all, Natalie, tell us about Rescuers Without Borders.
Rescuers Without Borders is an organization of emergency medics. We're the first response medics in Israel, but mostly in Yehuda and Shomron. That is the area, Judea and Samaria, north of Jerusalem, south of Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem itself, in the Old City. These are people, men, women, students, mommies and daddies, that volunteer their own time and train to be medics. When the calls come in to 101, that's MADA, that's the national hotline. Our medics are those that are closest, and they go and get there first, before there's an ambulance that can get there.
Now, there's just been a terrible earthquake that has caused destruction in Turkey and Syria. Is Rescuers Without Borders in Turkey right now?
Yes, we do international work also. I didn't even mention that, but yeah, one of our best and most successful areas is international work because our emergency services are so good. We've gone abroad since 2004, all over the world. Whenever there's a disaster, we're actually the first ones there because we're not a government agency and we don't need any permission or clearance from any government body. So we gather a team real quick, 5, 9, 11 people, medics, doctors, and a logistics person always, and we fly, and we're usually there first, and get to the site very quickly and get things done. And we have actually built medic teams on these places that we've gone. We not just bring supplies and help, but we also train. And it's really worked. We have 14 teams now all over the world that we've trained, and what's happened is when we leave, then they actually have equipment and training when we leave. So with the next disaster that happens in that area, they actually have a team on the ground, and we maintain contact with them. Now in Turkey, just now, we were there 17 hours after the first quake, and we were there a 2-hour flight. We brought 11 people, I believe, and actually one really interesting story we got from the ground. When we got there, we were taken to this area near Istanbul, and the police escorted us, and they actually told us there was another area, a really badly hit area, and could we go there? And our team went there, and they saw it was a 15-hour bus ride. 15-hour bus ride, that's a long time. When they got to the area, the police found out what we were doing, and they actually took us to an airplane and flew us. Got there in an hour. So we were able to really help a lot more people. I think so far we've helped 3,000 people. It's so awful. They can't go back in their homes. The ones that fell, okay, those people are gone. Gone. A lot of them were saved, but all those people who are alive have to wait outside because they can't go back into their buildings. Their buildings are deemed unsafe.
And what are the teams seeing in the destruction area?
People waiting and hoping, mostly waiting and hoping, but there's a lot of news from all over the world. They're being told to be quiet so they can hear if there's life underneath those ruins. Oh, it's just awful. But they are saving people. They are finding people, children that have been pulled out alive. Yeah.
And how are the citizens? I imagine they've lost everything.
They've lost everything. Yeah. Everything. They've lost everything. Yeah. They are now homeless and jobless, and they are now basically refugees in their own country. Now I think aid is coming in. And they have, they are a modern country, they're part of the EU, and they will have to rebuild. And it's going to be a long haul for them.
I imagine some buildings are unsafe but haven't collapsed as well.
That's right. Some buildings are unsafe and haven't collapsed, and they don't know what will happen. People want to go home, but they're telling them you can't go home, you shouldn't go home. What would you do if it's freezing cold? It's like 0 degrees. Yeah. So it's freezing cold. They're outside. They're hoping they could go in. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be awful. They're all in tents. I know they're all in tents and gymnasiums and just making do with really donated blankets and donated food, and they're living like that.
And what sort of stories have you heard about coming from there?
I heard that there was, one father who was trying to save his child and was holding the child's hand. I think a little girl, and she was already gone, dead. I've heard one family actually survived, but all the others didn't because they got out. I've heard, like I told you, the reporters are so many and so many broadcasts going on that they've been told to shush, shush, quiet. It's such a big scene, and it's so awful that the world looks at horror like they're fascinated. Just like when you drive by a car accident, everybody's watching like it's a movie. Well, it's not a movie. It's real life. It's horrible. It's hard to watch. And then when you look at your social media, people just keep screening past it, and they put on their own silliness, their cats, their pets, their restaurants, their vacations. And some of them aren't even paying attention to this. I think people have grown numb. But it's a very big disaster. They're saying 20,000 people are gone. It's probably more.
Has the team been able to rescue people alive in the rubble?
I think so, but I know a lot dead.
I imagine it's not just people as well, but there's actually animals actually been under there as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
What are the mood of the people out there at the moment?
They're desperate, and they're, I think, in shock, mostly shock.
I guess it's going to be a big challenge for the government as well, because a lot of infrastructure has also been destroyed as well.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's an emergency disaster that will take budgeting and, rebuilding, and
Now, it's been over a week now. Can we expect miracles and see people coming alive even for today from the rescuers?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I hope so.
You're going out from the land of Israel, from the nation of Israel. Is this Israel being a light to the nation?
Definitely. Absolutely. Not everybody agrees with that. They think, Israel has its own problems, take care of yourself. But this is what our guys do. They don't see a difference between skin color. They help Arabs too in Israel. Our rescuers are amazing. They have one mission, and they're good at it. So they do it wherever they can.
Are your workers paid workers, or are they all volunteers?
They're all volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in their blood.
Yeah. Now, they're going to obviously see horrors, so how do they cope with that when they get back home again?
Some of them do have to go into therapy. Some of them do have to just take some time. Look, there are horrors that happen here too. Even a regular road accident, when you lose someone, it's very difficult. They have trouble. Our rescuers definitely have trouble. There was a big, in Meron 2 years ago, when there was that big 47 people died. There was a stampede. Our rescuers had to have counseling afterwards. It was so many deaths at once. This also, it definitely affects them. It definitely affects their families. Our men are human. They're not Superman. It's hard. And it's hard to talk about it. I've been approached by parents, some of these rescuers, who thanked me and thanked us for actually paying attention to that. And I used to think, why would anybody want to hear about it? Why do they need counseling? But they're humen. Yeah. They're human, and I can imagine. I've only saved two lives, and it shook me up. I remember these guys are on call, and they see so much, and so much at once. They're very dedicated. I guess you develop a thick skin. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. It's a very special person who becomes a rescue medic.
Now, closer to home, we've just had 2 terror attacks in Jerusalem lately. Have you responded to those?
Yeah, we're responding to those also. Same tent. You see the tent go up after the attack in Ramot. We had rescuers right there very quickly, and that was just horrible. Are
you some of the first people on the scene for these terrorist attacks?
Yeah, we are the first people on the scene because we live here. We're not coming from some faraway place. Our rescuers, we have a team in Yerushalayim. We have a team in Givat Zev. Givat Zev is 10 minutes from Ramot. We're right there. Yeah.
And that's important to actually be there as quickly as possible, isn't it?
Yeah, because you need to get there. Those first few minutes are the difference between life and death. The ambulance and the hospital, that's all after. So if you get skilled people there right away, you can save a life. And we've saved thousands of lives this way.
Are your workers actually running into danger sometimes when you go to a terrorist incident? You don't know actually if there's still a terrorist incident ongoing. So are they running into danger?
Yeah, unfortunately they are. There was a terror attack in Kiryat Arba, Hebron, 2 months ago. And our rescuer got shot, and actually an Arab ambulance came in and left because there was still ongoing fire. Yeah, it's bad. Some of them get injured, and that's a risk. It's a problem. But we do have vests and helmets they can wear. Unfortunately, this rescuer actually gave his vest and helmet to another rescuer. He didn't have it. He didn't wear it. And sometimes, they just rush, they just run to help, and they don't put it on. But we just don't have enough of those either. We also do need more armored ambulances, and those are expensive. They're $250,000. Wow. And we need more. We need more of those.
So you have ambulances that are armored?
Yeah, we do.
Because of the situation?
Because there's terror. There's ongoing shooting. Sometimes we have to get in there and get people out, and it's, in the middle of, it's a war zone is what it is. Little war zones pop up.
Do you rely on donations to do this work?
We rely on all donations, only donations. Yeah, absolutely. And our website where you can donate if you want is www.hatzalah.org.il.
And are you on Facebook as well?
We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we have a website.
What's your prayer for the future of the work that you're doing?
I wish we didn't have to do this. Honestly, our hope is that we didn't have to do this and that the terrorists would lay down their weapons and just live peacefully like they're meant to be. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. Actually, on my way here, their infrastructure is just so advanced. They're building more roads, more homes, more houses. It's not great. And my hope is that we wouldn't have to exist. So what was my realistic hope is that we get so much involvement from the world and our donors would know who we are and help us as much as they can so we can build it up more. We now have 1,600 medics. That's 1,600 medics. And we actually have people waiting to be medics. And we train them and we give them a discount and we help them. And we would like more. The groups have grown. Where I live in Susia, there are 200 families. When I moved there were 70 families. That was in 2007. And we had 3 medics serving 70 families. Now we have 11 medics serving 200 families. Okay, that's about 1,600 people we have living there and 8 medics. Is that enough? Yes and no.
How long does it take to train a medic?
It's something like, it's a 6-month course. It's a lot of hours. And it's not just the course. They also have to do what you call a stage, almost like a clerkship. Yeah. And to be a driver of an ambulance is even more. It's serious stuff. We're trained by MADA. Our medics are so good. They're allowed to, work in the hospital. And there's training all the time. It's not like you train once, you give them a bag of equipment, and that's it. They train all year long. And we train and we work together with the IDF and Magen David Adom and the firefighters and rescue, a 669 division of search and rescue. We're so involved in the field, and with the training, it's so important. You see it, actually, because we're so active. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to always keep busy with, and people want to help, and people want to be involved, even at a very young age. It's very nice to see in Israel, teenagers want to be medics. Teenagers start doing the course. It's amazing to see that people really, really want to help, and I think everybody has a reason. Everybody has a story. Maybe their family member was in an accident. Maybe they themselves were in some kind of terror attack. It's just, it happens here, and it's funny, when you live in Yehuda and Shomron, in these areas, you see this, and it becomes a regular thing to you, a regular scene to you, a regular knowing. Someone asked me yesterday, I want to go to Hebron. Is it dangerous? Yeah. Well, it's always dangerous. And there are people who live in Netanya, Ra'anana, Tel Aviv, they just don't see it. They don't see it. We seem like another country to them. Yeah. And we're not. We're a very small country. The terror is everywhere, but it's concentrated here. The Arabs and Jews live close together here. And there's squabbles all the time. And there are people who, the Arabs, they really get a lot of honor by killing Jews. It's in that's their culture. Yeah. So they really don't have anything to lose. And it's difficult. We have to keep, helping and saving and rescuing, because we just want to live peacefully, and they just want to make a lot of noise.
Okay, Natalie, thank you for sharing.